Ladies and gentlemen, it is Saturday, and that means we got another banger episode of Solo Leveling. This show does not stop. It just continues with peak. Each week, each episode, it's amazing. Solo Leveling Season 2 Episode 4 just dropped this morning, and it was a bit of a different pace than the previous episodes. There is next to no fighting, and the only fighting that really does happen in this episode is entirely one-sided. So this episode was largely expositional, and I still really enjoyed it. We got introduced to a lot of characters that we've known about but haven't really heard from up until now. We got some updates on Sung's dad, on Sung's mom, and then we just got a bunch of lore drops about the world of hunting. Also, my voice is like scratchy. I can't clear it for some reason, so I apologize. But the biggest point of this episode is that Sung Jin-woo has been reassessed, and now the entire world knows that he is an S-rank, and he officially got that title. He is now one of the 10 S-rank hunters in Korea. And as so, he is now finally being treated with the amount of respect that he deserves as one of the most powerful beings in the world. He went from just being a hot guy who got stared at in the streets, and now he is a hot guy who's also very powerful and famous, and everyone likes him. But as great as it is for us, the audience, to watch all of these nobodies just goggle after our goat Sung Jin-woo, what's more important is all of the big names in the world of hunting now know about Jin-woo and are going after him for various reasons. This includes Chairman Go, who we got introduced to, who was the first S-rank hunter of Korea and is the current leader and president of the Hunters Association, as well as S-rank hunter Jung-in. I believe that's how you say his name. If not, I'm very sorry, please correct me. He is the fire-type mage hunter, who we have seen bits and pieces of here and now. We just see him like talking in an office. We don't really see him fight at all until this episode, when he just launches a beam of fire and decimates the entire force of an A-rank dungeon apart from the boss. He's the guy with red hair, red suit, very like charming dude. He's very well aware of the power he holds. This one you're really gonna have to correct me on the pronunciation, but S-rank hunter Hae-in, like Hae-in era, maybe? I don't know. She is the S-rank hunter, the female S-rank hunter we have seen so much about, and those are the three big names that are making themselves known to Jin-woo. Chairman Go makes a direct offer to Jin-woo to recruit him to the Hunters Association, but Jin-woo declines because he says that his heart belongs to the dungeon and he wants to continue fighting and leveling up so he can get the elixir of life to save his mother. Obviously, Chairman Go doesn't know any of this, but he understands that Jin-woo just wants to fight. Like, he understands that part, but he doesn't know the specifics as to why. But because Chairman Go has a lot of resources, he is starting to kind of uncover the mystery of Jin-woo and his awakening, such as learning the fact that Jin-woo was like a wimpy E-rank hunter not too long ago, and now he looks like a completely different person. He noticed that Jin-woo had been in the hospital for critical injuries multiple times, so he comes to the conclusion that he can't be like a false ranker, he's just had some mysterious reawakening. Jin-woo's run-in with Jung-in was pretty short because Jin-woo completely brushed him off. Pretty much when Jin-woo was at the clinic, or I don't think you can call it a clinic, he was at the assessment area, building, whatever, with a giant black orb. He touches it, it causes an error signal, which only happens with S-rank hunters. But after all this commotion, Jung-in comes in to introduce himself to Jin-woo, and Jin-woo just completely ignores him. He just walks on by. The character of Jung-in is kind of interesting because he does seem to be very prideful, but not to the point where it's annoying. It is obvious that he is incredibly powerful, so some level of pride and arrogance is to be expected, but when Jin-woo just brushes him off, he doesn't take it super to heart. But me personally, I think the most important interaction between Jin-woo and these incredibly powerful S-rank hunters was between Jin-woo and Hae-in. Again, I don't know if I'm saying this name right. I'm very sorry. And their interaction comes in a very unique way, because Jin-woo gets a job as a miner. Not a child, but like a Minecraft miner. He's mining crystals. And with this, we get some explanation to how these big deal gates work. Pretty much the hunters will go in and kill all of the enemies other than the boss. Then the mining and extraction teams will move in, take all the crystals and the corpses of the monsters that have been killed out of the gate so they can be harvested and the items can be sold and found and whatnot. And it's not specifically said, but I'm assuming that the hunters will then go back in, kill the boss, and then, the gate closes like normal. And Jin-woo is working on the mining team at an A-rank gate. And the reason he's working on this mining team is because he needs artifacts. He needs artifacts to help him beat the dungeon where he can get the final ingredient for the elixir of life. An artifact is an incredibly powerful object. They can be weapons, items, accessories, stuff like that. And we get introduced to them in one of the most critical scenes of the episode, because we learn that Dong-soo is not dead. Sung's dad spared this guy, but he gave him a warning. He basically told him, do not ever mess with my family again or I will destroy you. And we know this isn't a bluff, because Dong-soo, an S-rank hunter, got decimated by this dude. Also, important note that I was not aware of while doing my research to make sure I get all the names right, I learned that Dong-soo is American, and back in, I think it was maybe episode 2, maybe even episode 1, when he gets to Korea, and he's talking all this smack about this country, This dude is just racist. He's just a racist American, which is kind of funny that, like, that's the only American character we've known so far is just a guy who's blatantly racist. I had no idea he was American. If that was something that was made known in season 1 or even in season 2 and I missed it, flame me in the comments. I deserve it if I missed that. But anyways, Dong-soo says that he needs an artifact in order to beat Sung's dad. He also mentions how completely humiliated he is from that fight because he's an S-rank hunter. He shouldn't just get tossed around like that. I mean, he said that it was essentially impossible for Sung's dad to not be a magical beast because of how powerful he is. Now, whether or not his dad is some form of magical beast, I'm so curious to see. I hope we get an answer to that question in this season. So anyways, Sung Jin-woo needs an artifact, but unfortunately, like you would expect, artifacts are very expensive. But he has a few very expensive magical items, but he got them from doing all these missions that he has a very unorthodox way of getting to. I mean, he can do all these mysterious dungeons that only exist to him as a player. So he needs to come up with a cover story or an alibi to justify why he has these items, so when he goes to sell them, no one's suspicious of the fact that he's just an E-rank hunter. It's like, how did you get these incredibly powerful objects as an E-rank hunter? You're not even allowed at A-rank gates. So he's going to work as a miner to get one of these items and then sell it for an artifact to go into the dungeon to get the elixir of life to save his mom. It's a ton of dominoes that will all eventually fall to save his mother. So he's mining at this A-rank gate, and while he's in there, he gets introduced to Hunter Hae-in. He just sees her while she's exiting the dungeon, and he makes note of her because her aura is very intense, but she also notices his aura, but she doesn't notice that it's specifically from him. She specifically says that she thought it was Chairman Go, whose aura she felt, but when she looks around, she can't find any. And obviously, Chairman Go is not there. It's Sung Jin-woo's aura. But when all the miners are going on lunch break, Sung Jin-woo wants to stay behind because he wants to get a good look at the A-rank boss, because he believes that this boss in this A-rank gate is going to be more powerful than the boss of the dungeon that he needs to complete to get the final ingredient for the elixir of life. So he just wants a peek. He's kind of indulging himself a little bit. He's kind of having a good time. But right before he can go in, Hunter Hae-in appears, and she says, "What are you doing here? Why are you here, little miner? What are you about to do going..." No, little miner, that sounds awful. "What are you doing here, little Minecraft guy?" That still doesn't sound good. Okay, what are you doing here? You are mining. Why are you about to enter into the boss's lair? Okay, that was like the least weird way I could phrase that sentence. And unfortunately, that's where the episode ends, but this kind of relationship between the two of them, not like a romantic relationship per se, I don't know anything that happens in the manhwa, is going to be very exciting. I'm very much looking forward to the relationship between the two of them being explored, because I think they would be a really cool team. Overall, I loved this episode a lot. No, it was not full of fighting like the previous episodes. It wasn't as exhilarating or exceptionally animated, which they always love to do with Solo Leveling, and kudos to them. But it was just a good episode where we got to flesh out the world and, you know, push down the people who say that Solo Leveling is only good because of good animation and fighting, because it's obviously not. It's a great story with great characters that also has amazing fights and incredible animation. So I'm glad we got this episode now to kind of show them what this show is capable of, because Solo Leveling continues to break records as one of the highest rated animes ever, and it absolutely deserves that. I love this anime. Once again, Solo Leveling is going to be a strong competitor for Anime of the Year. It's January. We're not even 25% of the way through the year, and we already have one of the best animes of the year, hands down. If you enjoyed Solo Leveling Season 2, Episode 4, make sure to let me know down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching all the way till the end of the video. I'm having an absolutely amazing time watching Solo Leveling, then talking about it to the camera, then editing it, and then posting the video for you guys. As always, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.